So when we look at salaries and wages, they say salaries and wages including contributions. So the name is salaries and wages. Salaries and wages. So we open the bracket, we check how much was 138,500, 138,500, and there is this adjustment now, which is Roman figure number 5, which says all details in respect of February 2022 salary of an employee when incorrectly debited to the sundry expenses account. The following information relates to his salary: net salary, deductions. The business contributes R2 for every R1 deducted for the pension fund. Note, EFT payments have already been processed for all relevant amounts payable. This is very simple and nice, because now you must include on salaries and wages and take account of this salary of this employee of 11,525 plus other contributions that are always taking place, such as this one of pay as you earn SARS 3,235 plus the pension 990 plus 990 plus the business contributes R2 for every R1 plus 990. My contribution, it's my contribution, but the business contributes 990 plus 990. It contributes twice what I contribute. So this is what it is on salaries and wages, and then you add them together is 1381. Use your calculator, let's do it together. 500 plus 11,525 plus 3,235 plus 990 plus 990 plus 990, and then the total is 1399230. 1399230. Yes. And then we carry on again and see what is the next adjustment. A tenant has been leasing office space on the premises since March 2000. She has paid the rent until April 2022, 30 April 2022. Note that the monthly amount was reduced by 1,350 with effect from 1 January 2022. Now, there is this rent, office space. What is it called under our pre-adjustment trial balance? Office space rent income. We're speaking about rent income here. A tenant has been leasing office space since March. Now, a tenant, now we must get an income, but this income here, we are interested until 28 Feb, and it was paid, or we received it until 30 April 2022, and these 2 months that we received, we must subtract it. So now we look at the rent income. Let's look at the rent income. The rent income is an amount of 183,600. We go back to income section. 183,600 minus so much so that was paid for March and April. We are not interested in that. So let's look at this rent income as rent income. and determine the amount. Let's look at the question and determine how much is the amount. The tenant has been leasing office space since March. She had paid the rent until 30 April. Note that the monthly amount was reduced. So now the amount of rent that is given on the pre-adjustment trial balance represent this amount, which is how much? 183,600. Now we have 183,600. Let's read the statement. And it says, note that the monthly amount was reduced by 1,350 with effect from 1 January. January, February, March, April. So on this 4 months was reduced by 1,350. Let me start by doing this. Let's assume this rent was not reduced at all. Let's assume it was not reduced at all. So if we assume that it was not reduced at all, we're going to say, okay, let's minus 1. It was reduced by an amount of how much? 1,350. 1,350 times 4 months, which is equals to 1,350 times 4, 5,400. Now let's take this amount of rent and say and assume that it was not reduced. The amount of rent is 183,600. 183,600. It was not reduced, assumingly 5,400, which is equals to plus 183,600, 189,000. 189,000 divide by 14 months. Which is equals to divide by 14, which is equals to 13,500. Now, this 13,500 assumes that it was not reduced. Now, per month, now let's reduce it. Minus 1,350. We reduce it now. Which is equals to minus 1,350, 12,150 multiplied by 2 months, which we don't want. Everything should be 12 months, and if that is the case, it equals to times 2 months, 24,300, which is equals to 24,300, which is equals to 24,300. Now, in terms of that rent, we minus 24,300, which was income received in advance. Simple and nice. Interesting. You know, 183,600 minus 24,300. No, nothing is foreign. You can repeat it. You can repeat it if you want, which is 159,300. Simple. 159,300. Now, you don't have time anymore. Right. Now, 24,300 is the income received in advance, which now you go to your financial statements and say minus 24,300, which is income received in advance. And you don't add there because you want this maximum max. 183,600 minus 24,300, which is equals to 159,300. 159,300. Now you're like, okay, income received in advance. I have statement of financial position. I have trade and other payables. I have creditors control amount, which is given. Creditors control. And if you know your format, it becomes very quick and easier for you to say, okay, creditors control is 428,000. 428,000 plus how much? Plus what you just got in terms of these calculations to say this is income received in advance. And me and you knows that income received in advance is part of trade and other payables. And then you get your amount, 428,000 plus 24,300, which is 452,300. 452,300. 24,300, is that so? 24,300, yes. And then you go back again. You're like, okay, I'm done with this rent income. Let me check what is the next adjustment. Income tax for the year is calculated at 30% of the net income. The net profit after tax is 356,300. You are given the net profit after tax. Usually you calculate the profit after tax. When they require you to calculate statement of comprehensive income, it's about the net profit after tax at the end of the day. In this instance, you are given that profit after tax. Therefore, they are asking you to work backward. Can you work backward? If you have the profit after tax, there is one missing figure there, which we don't know what it is. We will find out. Now, let's look at income tax for the year is calculated at 30%. You know your format. You know your format. Look into your format. Let's look at the format because you already done your format. And usually they will give you the format on the answer sheet. They will just want you to add here and there the amount. Statements of comprehensive income. You are given what we call net profit after tax is given. It's what you always calculate, but in this case it's given as how much is 356,300. 356,300. It's a given amount. Now they told you that income tax expense is at 30%. Now you work it backward. 356,300 multiply 30%, divide by 100%, but that 100% you must minus 30% because you are working it backward. So if you work it backward, this is how you do it. And if you do that, it's gonna be, let's use the calculator together. It's not, make sure that your calculator is on, not 356,300 multiplied by 30 divide by 70, and then your 152,700. 152,700, and that 152,700 is income tax. Oh my gosh. 152,700, it's an income tax expense. It's a minus. Agree. Now, it tells you again that if this is given and this is given, you have to be quick as possible. You are like, okay, now I have the profit after tax, which is 356,300. I have the income tax expense, which is 152,700. So these together must give me this. Now that's what you do, 152,700 plus 356,300. And then you have 509,000. You work backward. That's what you do. And you see, this minus this, it must equal to this. It must give you sense. Interest expense. Let's look at interest expense. What has been said about the loan? They took the loan from Saturn Bank. Saturn is the planet. There's Mercury, there's Pluto, there's Uranus, there's Venus, 7 planets, I think. But we are not in the topic for planets. We are in the topic for the loan that was taken from Saturn Bank. All transactions with respect to the loan were recorded. Interest of 142,250 on the loan is capitalized. And you will see this interest, 142,250. It must also be there on our interest on loan, 142,250. Interest on loan, 142,250 is given. It's given. It's given. And interest on loan, remember, it's also a minus. And it's given. And again, it becomes simple. I'm given the profit before tax. I'm given the interest expense. Therefore, I can determine on my own that 509,000 plus 142,250. What does it give us? It gives us so much so that when this minus this is going to be equals to that, 509,000 plus 142,250. And it's 651,250. And so much so this minus this is equals to that. So you work backward. And again, let's look at the solution, the answer sheet that was given. On the answer sheet, there are amounts that are going to be shown on the answer sheet. That is why I said earlier, there are amounts that they don't show you on the question paper. They just put it on the answer sheet. And sometimes that can trigger your mind, because sometimes you might have the question paper and have the solution and play around. Sometimes you don't know how did they get the amount, whereas that amount was disclosed on the answer sheet. So be mindful when you get this question paper. Look at how was